Hello and welcome back to Canine Mind. Today we're going to talk a bit about motivation, how you increase motivation, common traps people fall into, and generally what it is, how you can use it, how you can increase it in a dog. This one might feel a bit rambly because I will go quite in depth in some aspects of it. So I will touch all kinds of different topics along the way, but bear with me. So what do I mean when I say motivation? Motivation, at least in a dog training context, motivation is what fuels your dog to want to work for you. Dogs do not have a will to please. If you believe that, just take that out of your mind completely. It does not exist, but there is a will to work. And motivation has to do with how present that will to work is present in the dog. A lot of dogs will work for barely anything. A lot of other dogs will need a lot more attention and a lot more thought put into their rewards and how you will motivate your dog to want to work. Because anytime you want to teach your dog something new, you will need a reward, so he has motivation to work for you. And sometimes it may seem that our dog is not interested at all in whatever we're offering and it's just really hard and difficult to train your dog. What I see a lot of other trainers and handlers talk about is that the basics of dog training is respect, and your dog needs to respect you. Get that also just completely out of your head. Your dog cannot feel respect for anything. Your dog does not feel vengeful either. A dog literally cannot feel that, okay? Dog training is, on one hand, way more complex than you think, but dogs in itself are also way easier than you might think. They cannot have respect. So there has to be something else. So let's say your dog is not motivated to work for you, it has nothing to do with respect, it has nothing to do with being vengeful for something you did. So if your dog is not motivated, what could be the cause? Let's take a look at the most common ways you can motivate your dog. By far the most common way is treats. You bring some treats with you, your dog instantly has attention for you because he wants the treats, and you work by luring him with treats, giving him treats whenever he does something right. That works for most dogs, almost all of them. If it doesn't work for your dog, you may have fallen into a bit of a trap. When I'm teaching a class, especially new handlers, and I see a dog that's not motivated, I just ask them one simple question. Did they eat before training, or even a couple of hours before training? Usually the answer is yes. Of course, your dog does not want to work for treats if he has just eaten. Now, maybe your dog is so focused on treats that it doesn't matter if he ate minutes before he would still work, but for other dogs, if they're not hungry, why would they work for you? I always like to give the example of a person. If you have not eaten for 2 days straight, and I ask you, hey, you want to go clean my kitchen? If you do, I'll give you 2 slices of bread. 2 slices of bread is a garbage reward. It's really bad for the amount of effort you need to put in. But if you haven't eaten for 2 days, you most likely will accept that offer. However, if you just came back from your favorite restaurant, you just had a 3-course meal, you're bloated, you're full, you come to me and I ask you, hey, can you clean my kitchen? If you do, I'll give you some ice cream. My reward is infinitely better than the 2 slices of bread, and yet chances are you will refuse. Not because my reward has changed, but because your motivation has changed. Because you were motivated by your feeling of hunger. For dogs, it's just the same. If they have just eaten, why would they want to work for some treats? This is also why free feeding is so incredibly bad if you want to train your dog in any way. In order for your dog to be motivated to work for a reward, the reward needs to have some value. So if you want to use food as motivation, but your dog is being used to food always being right there, then food has absolutely no value to your dog whatsoever. And I get the principle of free feeding. Most people do it with good intent. They just don't want their dog to be hungry, so they make sure there's always a bowl of food right there. But it completely hampers any type of training you want to do with your dog. But also if your dog develops behavioral issues, treats may be useful when working with your dog to overcome that behavioral issue. However, free feeding is the most obvious example, but There are a lot of other smaller examples. How many people give their dog a treat just randomly throughout the day? They come home from walking, hey, he had a nice walk, let's just give him a treat. Or just when walking through the house, you're near the spot anyway where all the dog treats are, might as well just give him one. Sure, nothing wrong with it, your dog probably loves it. But why would he want to work for treats? Always think about what's going on in your dog's mind. You're trying to work with him, motivating him with treats, and your dog just thinks, why would I have to work for that now? I get that regularly for free. This is what my own teacher likes to call the NILF principle. Nothing in life is free. If you give your dog things for free, that thing you've given him loses all value to him. Okay, so now your dog is interested in treats, but he loses interest after a while. Something you can do here is actually just bring a couple of different treats and then increase them in value. You might even start out with just a kibble, move on to some chicken, and then last have some really stinky salami. Dogs don't have a really good sense of taste, but a much stronger sense of smell. Remember those Arab ads where they pretended they invented the next big thing, which was something that people have known about for hundreds, if not thousands of years? That smell is connected to taste. For dogs, that effect is even stronger than it is for us humans. So when you're packing different kinds of treats, pack them in different bags. If you just mix them together, the smell will all start to mix and you might as well have just brought one kind of treat. And so throughout training, you just start with your lowest value treat, and the moment you see your dog starts to struggle or starts to be less motivated, you just move it up and you go to the next treat that's slightly more valuable. Or you could also give a higher value treat if your dog does something that's specifically difficult for him. Let's say you're training with your level 1 treats, let's just say your basic kibble. But let's say your dog has a lot of issues with the recall. Here what you can do is, instead of taking the kibble, you just immediately jump to your highest value treat, so your dog will come more easily, and suddenly the thing he was pretty bad at becomes something he's very motivated to do more of. Okay, all well and good, you tried it all, your dog doesn't get any treats for free, your dog is not free fed, he hasn't eaten for a couple of hours before training, and still he is not interested at all in your treats. No problem, some dogs are like that. Luckily, while treats are the most common form of motivation, it's not the only one, you can use anything. My own dog, for example, loves nothing more than a simple stick. A simple stick, I found along the road, is way more valuable to her than any treat or any toy I can give her. However, let's talk a bit about toys. You can also just use toys as motivation, especially if your dog likes to play fetch. Whenever you ask your dog to do something, could be anything, even something as basic as teaching your dog to sit, you could do with a toy instead and just reward them with 2 to 3 seconds of playtime. Literally, that's it, that's enough. But there are also a couple of things you need to watch out for when getting a toy, because there's also a lot of pitfalls you can fall in when it comes to toys. So at home, same with free feeding, make sure the toys are not out all at once all the time. Obviously have some toys out so your dog can play if he wants. If it's with another dog, if it's with you, doesn't matter. But just so your dog doesn't get bored, make sure he has enough toys around him. And different kinds of toys, a rope, something to chew on, a ball, doesn't matter. However, make sure you have different types of toys and switch them around. So let's say you have 6 toys, just 1 week have 3 toys out, the next week take them out, put the 3 other ones in, and that way your toys stay exciting, stay fresh, because your dog doesn't have access to it all the time. There are also a couple of things you need to look out for when choosing a specific toy you want. Don't just pick a ball, because you want something that you can play with easily. And if your dog has the ball in his mouth, it's not that easy to grab and play with. Generally, you want a ball with a bit of rope on that you can grab and play with. However, if you do decide to get the ball with a bit of rope attached, or just a small rope in general, make sure that's not too long as well. You don't want it to be too short so you can actually grab it and play with it. But if you have it too long, especially during fetch, your dog might not want to let go. Because if he shakes it and the ends of the toy start hitting the neck to a dog that imitates a prey that's still struggling, which some dogs really love. If that's the case, you might struggle a bit with having your dog let go of it. So it's a bit of a puzzle, not too long, not too short. Every dog's different, you have to figure out what works for your own dog. Another thing you need to watch out for is to make sure it's not a squeaky toy. Unless you have a male dog and you train alone. If you're going to a dog school or you're working in a group or in public, there is nothing more annoying than having a handler have a squeaky toy and all dogs around them being hyper focused on that specific handler. But also why I say male dog is because with squeaky toys, especially with female dogs that are not neutered, there is a chance, not a big chance luckily, but there is still a chance that your dog develops false pregnancy or pseudo-pregnancy or whatever you want to call it. And believe me, that's something you don't want to deal with. And as a side note, if there are multiple colors available, pick a blue one. Dogs generally only see in yellow brownish colors and blue, so blue really sticks out to them. Because always remember, if your dog is not motivated, there are ways that you can increase his motivation artificially. It's just a bit of a puzzle you need to make by first of all finding out what he really values, making sure it stays valuable by not giving it all the time and just using it during training. And if you can find that thing, that's going to be the best fuel you have to train your dog. So that was going to be it for me today. I hope you learned something. Don't free feed your dog. Swap out the toys. Don't just randomly give him treats. And if your dog's not motivated, that alone will likely do the trick. And if it doesn't, hopefully you now know what to look out for, how you can find that thing that your dog values, and how you can make sure that stays valuable, use it and boost your training. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. Comment below if you have any questions or any topics you want to learn more about in future videos. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye bye.